thing that I'm most concerned with, and the thing that I think capsules what I learned there, is that what we do here in America, the attitude that the political leaders and the demonstrators, the college people, whoever it might be, and I have with me a piece of paper that less than 10 days ago was taken off of the body of a North Vietnamese soldier. He was killed the night before I was at the place in the 1st Cavalry Division the next day. This, without reading all of it, says that Senator McGovern has just made a speech in the United States in which he said that we should get out of South Vietnam, we should quit trusting that little tin horn key that's taking our substance, our blood, and our taxes. Then this kind of thing is used to keep the morale of the North Vietnamese up to the point that they'll make one more attack, one more offensive.
Do you think, though, sir, we should be able to have dissent in this country? That there should be people that are able to say we should pull out, or that we should just withdraw some troops from Vietnam? It is their war.
Well, I don't want to say that we don't have room for dissent. We have plenty of room for, in every phase of our society, we have established means of dissenting. But everyone, especially anyone in government, ought to know that this is a very crucial time. Right now, the negotiations are supposed to be going on, but I do not believe, I think that we'll see that there will not be any meaningful negotiation this summer. The North Vietnamese are going to make us sweat through this summer before they make any effort to really begin discussing what the political settlement would be. So I think that those who are responsible ought to be willing to realize they know that we're in a very critical time. They ought not to then add to the difficulty that we have.
I think the priority recommendation that the City Council passed last year, asking that all flood control projects be considered #1 in priority, has not been taken seriously by the Public Works Department. I think that they need to know, and we need to reassert ourselves as council members, that they need to move with all haste and consider all flood control projects to be emergency projects and complete not during the course of a 3-year program, but immediately.
A seemingly harmless resolution pledging undying respect and mutual loyalty between the city of Fort Worth and Tarrant County came up before the City Council and the County Commissioners Court today for approval. The city gave it its unanimous support. The county postponed its decision until a week from today. The resolution calls for city-county coordination in future public improvements and for maximum cooperation to save the taxpayers money. It also provides for a 6-man committee, which will include the county judge, the city manager, and 2 men from the respective governments. It further provides for all other cities and political subdivisions in Tarrant County to be included in any county-wide public improvements and services. It was at this point that Commissioners Skeet Richardson and Dick Lewis balked. I talked with them this afternoon, and each felt that the smaller cities are such an integral part of Tarrant County that they should be consulted before any such resolution be enacted. County Judge Howard Green told me that the sole purpose of the resolution is to publicly express the feeling of mutual respect and cooperation between the city and county governments. That's absolutely all there is to it, he told me. Obviously, somebody doesn't agree. The suspicion seems to prevail that someone is trying to get something from somebody. And apparently Richardson and Lewis are of the opinion that the city of Fort Worth envisions itself on the receiving end of any such arrangement. Speculation ranges all the way from the fact that the county-owned building, which houses the city corporation courts, is due for a lease renewal, and both city and county desperately need the space, all the way to the idea that both Dallas and Fort Worth are in need of much money to complete construction of the regional airport. And Tarrant County, in the minds of everybody except Auditor Starr Williams, is the richest governmental body in north-central Texas. At any rate, it seems relatively safe to assume that the resolution will be passed by the County Commission next Monday at its regular meeting, with a stipulation that all the smaller cities be invited to participate in any future decisions and policies. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
Well, I think that if all these accusations are now coming forward, and I have no reason to think that they're not true, that I think this indicates the kind of character that our Supreme Court should not have a member of. Therefore, I would hope, assuming these accusations to be true, that Justice Foreman would resign. If he doesn't, I think that there will be some kind of impeachment proceedings begun. I don't know what the effect of that would be, but I would hope that he would resign, assuming these things to be true.
Well, Vernon, it was a little unique. We had the 2 local sports editors there in Baton Rouge, Mr. Montet and Mr. Hardesty. They write one for a morning paper and one for the evening paper. They were our head football coaches, and I'll have to say this, it created quite a bit of interest among our boys and among our community there in Baton Rouge. We had about 12 to 15,000 people at the game, and they called the plays. You know, they've been calling those plays from up in the press box, and now they found out it was a little different being down on the field. And I guess probably one of the more unique parts of it was that part of the deal was I had to write, though, the byline the next day in the newspaper, and I fulfilled my problem, too, there. It was quite interesting, and really, I enjoyed it. I'm sure they enjoyed it, and I know my squad really enjoyed it.
I would imagine that it gives the writers who are your critics a bit of a different insight, wouldn't it?
Well, they found out it's a little bit tougher down on the field. I had one of them make the remark that, we knew that one of the opposing teams were going to run a certain play, and we even sent the information in, but they still executed it. And that has happened to me so many times that you have the answer, but you really can't get it executed or do anything about it. That's why we're playing with youngsters, and they're giving everything they have, but they can't respond like the snap of the finger.
Bringing community health into focus was the major civic activity in Dallas today at a special noon luncheon. As a visual kickoff, the Dallas Civic mouthpiece got a super toothbrush from the Dallas County King and Queen of Smiles. The 2 6-year-olds were Kelly Urquhart and Christopher Brower from Irving. After proclaiming this week Community Health Week in Dallas, the mayor exhibited his best preventive health brushing style. This is also American Hospital Week, and the major speaker for the luncheon today was Dr. George Graham, the president of the American Hospital Association. When we talked to Dr. Graham about health and hospital problems, he had this to say.
Well, as I see the advances being made in health care, I can see no cessation of the increase. We're working very diligently, of course, in the hospital field particularly, to try to moderate many of these costs. But as we see ourselves confronted with the advances in medical technology and the need for more skilled people in our hospitals, we cannot. And of course, not overlooking the shortages of personnel when many hospitals, even with their high costs today, that level they're at, are still understaffed in many vital areas of the hospital. I think of nursing particularly. So I don't see there's any possibility of our stopping it anymore. And I emphasize this, any more than you can stop the increases of cost in industry, your educational systems or the like, because we say this so often, but this is a major factor in hospitals. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and people do the job. It's a personal service. And wages and salaries make up 70% of my budget in my hospital.
The theme for this week's activities is Health is Your Responsibility. This is Teal Salon reporting.